Our hero is Genzo, a powerful and renowned wrestler. Right now, he's gearing up for the final match of his career before retiring to open a pet shop, because simply put, he loves animals. But just as he's battling his toughest opponent, yet jealousy strikes and his little dog is suddenly whisked away to another world. There he meets a princess and many soldiers and officials. The princess begs Genzo to help her drive away the demonic beasts and the demon king. But when she demands he kill animals, Genzo's fury ignites. He unleashes a brutal Super League move on the princess, flipping her over and knocking her unconscious. The officials and soldiers think Genzo is just upset about being summoned here and urge him to calm down. Realizing he went too far, Genzo covers the princess with his cloak. But the soldiers see his gesture as an insult and move to arrest him. Forced to leap through a glass window, Genzo escapes to the streets only to be mistaken for a weirdo. People avoid him, making it hard to ask for directions. He suspects his mask is the problem, but when he tosses it aside, the city guards chase him again. He hides in an alley, confiding in his loyal dog. With this little companion by his side, loneliness fades. Just then, he meets two beastfolk, Misa, a fierce girl, and her companion, a burly leader. They plan to trick Genzo and sell him off. But when they see his love for animals and beast folk alike, Genzo's primal rage awakens. He lunges at the leader first, grabbing and scratching him, until the tough guy becomes obedient as a kitten. They apologize, but it's useless. Now, Genzo rises to capture another target nearby. Nearby, a mysterious owner is trying to sell a beast folk maid for eating too much. She'd rather be sold than starve as long as someone feeds her 3 meals a day. Misa uses this chance to escape while Genzo focuses on the wolf girl in front of him. When he spots a beast folk being bullied, he steps in to protect her. This is Eva, an acquaintance of Misa and the wolf guy. But Igar, the wolf guy, sees Genzo as a pervert because of the battered wolf lying unconscious nearby, with a look that's disturbingly pleased. Igar concludes Genzo is born bad and attacks him, but Genzo returns the favor just like he did with the princess. The two friends have no choice but to drag Genzo away. Misa swears revenge, but Genzo remembers he hasn't checked the cat ears on the wolf girl. He chases after her. The wolf girl calls him to stop wanting to thank him for saving her. Her name is Single. She was sold because she borrowed money from Edgar for business, lost it all, and had her ideas stolen by humans. Unable to repay, she gave herself to Edgar to be sold. Single wants to thank Genzo, but has nothing to repay him with. Genzo offers himself instead. After all, he sees her more as a wolf than just a girl. Back at their hideout, the wolf guy and Eva are bitter about Genzo and plan to steal his dog. Meanwhile, Genzo and Single arrive at the Adventurers Guild to sign up for work and earn money. The guild master seems wary of Genzo and doesn't quite understand him because of how strange he sounds. But when a monster attack breaks out, Genzo immediately dashes off to help. The guild master sees courage shining in him. Genzo is then led to a forest area where his companions urge him to take up a weapon for protection. But for a wrestler like Genzo, holding a weapon is a deep embarrassment. As he approaches, his eyes light up. Before him stand 5 vicious 3-headed dogs. This moment is a storm of anticipation and raw power. Genzo, the wrestler, whose strength is like a tempest beneath still waters, faces a beast that embodies the chaos of this new world. Will he rise not just as a fighter, but as a protector of the creatures he loves? The journey has just begun. The joy-tripled Genzo had identified the pack leader and charged forward, roaring fiercely to block anyone from following. Those behind thought he was protecting them from danger and were moved to tears. Genzo surged past the others, but carefully avoided harming them, then seized the pack leader. Using clever methods, he tamed and subdued the 3-headed dog. With that, the whole pack fell under his command. By day's end, Genzo used his reward money to buy a new outfit and shared a delicious meal with Zero. They had enough funds to last a while, though he'd decided to bring everyone into a world where humans and beast men could coexist. He wanted to show just how extraordinary beastmen truly were. While he rambled on about the wonders of animals, the guild members kept mentioning attacks by magical beasts and the injuries they'd suffered. They were ready to kill if threatened, but Genzo just sat there indifferent to their chatter, a calm heart amid chaos. Genzo shared his plan to open a pet shop with Digger, but she had no clue what that entailed. When G heard, she realized Genzo intended to capture magical beasts, collect guild fees, then raise and sell them. The money promised to be substantial, so she joined him. But to make this a reality, they needed a hefty sum. Sign requested to join Genjo's team, and he agreed. The two then visited the notice board looking for quests. Genjo found a book nearby containing all the info on magical beasts just as G was in need. But a young man called Genjo a beast killer for single-handedly handling 5 three-headed dogs. Infuriated, Genjo punched him so hard his head hit the wall. Who would brand a lover of animals with such a name? Now the next challenge was tough. Genjo couldn't even read the language of this world. He asked Digger to take on the highest-paying quest, slaying a fire-breathing lizard. Genjo glanced at its picture in the book and felt a strange craving. Just then, the guild's strongest team led by Hard arrived, wanting to partner with Genjo to split the reward. He almost agreed until Ha said he planned to kill the lizard. Genjo grabbed him, spun him around and tossed him aside. Then with Sign, he set off for the mission. Meanwhile, seeing Ha's prize sword stirred greed in G. They reached the volcanic area where Genjo bravely tamed the lizard, despite being scorched by torrents of fiery breath. Genjo brought the tamed lizard back to complete the quest and collect the reward. The receptionist was impressed and accidentally called Genjo the Beast Slayer, again provoking his wrath and a beating. Both left, while the Misa brothers, especially their leader, remained haunted by Genjo's fierce reputation. Suddenly, Genjo and Sign barged in, causing a chaotic scene, but Sign was only there to settle a debt with Mr. Egger. The next morning, the duo ventured into the forest to capture a troop of rampaging monkeys. When they first encountered Sign, the monkeys seemed furious, but Kenzo calmly offered apples. The monkeys sensed kindness and obeyed Genjo, becoming friends. By day's end, they'd captured quite a few creatures and penned them in cages. Sign suggested finding a home soon, but buying one required a fortune. So they returned to the guild and accepted the highest-paying quest to defeat the Rakshasa clan. Looking through the book, Genjo wasn't interested. The clan weren't animals, but pure demons. Yet for the future of his pets, he accepted. CG, excited by the hefty reward, joined without hesitation. That night, still far from the clan's camp, they rested. While CG bathed, Genjo burst in his real reason. He'd spotted a unicorn and was utterly fascinated, ignoring Sign completely. Soon, they reached the Rakshasa camp, where Lienso told Sign to wait outside while he handled things inside. Right inside, Genjo boldly challenged the strongest warrior to return the stolen crops to the villagers. The clan disregarded him, and though he tried to resolve things peacefully, fists soon flew. Genjo dominated the fight and ended it with his signature flip move. With the leader defeated, Genjo rose as the new clan chief. The next morning, he and Sign returned grateful for the thrilling battle, but still allowed the former leader to guide the clan. Genjo then happily rushed back to find the unicorn. Back at the guild, he was praised and rewarded, but again the taboo name slipped from the leader's mouth, provoking Genjo's fiery anger. Later, they bought a farm for raising animals and moved in. At the bank, they applied for a loan to start their business, but had to pay 20% interest and were temporarily unable to operate due to the large sum. They began moving their beasts and belongings to the new home. Kwong, trying to avoid the chores, recruited Ji to find quests, leaving the messy house to Genjo. While renovating, Genjo was greeted by a neighbour who turned out to be a beast man, sparking Kenzo's interest. After bidding farewell, he heard a fluffball barking nearby. Investigating, he found a dragon girl lying close to his home. He brought her inside to rest. When she awoke, grateful for his rescue, she introduced herself as Linda, a regular dragonkin. Genjo trusted her and offered fish, but she mistook it for dog meat and almost choked, only stopped by Genjo's quick save. Linda eyed the many animals Genjo kept and threatened to feast on them all, but he revealed his dream of opening a pet shop and raising them kindly. She wanted to buy one of Genjo's dogs to raise herself, but before she could finish, Genjo snatched the dog back. Handing her a book, he asked where dragons were listed, but she got distracted and left. Sign soon returned, and Linda smelled dragon scent, confronting Genjo for explanations. She escorted Genjo to the guild where a quest was offered. The business venture was set to begin, but they had to pay a steep 20% interest just to borrow such a massive sum. For now, both were still unable to start their trade. Instead, they began packing up the pets and belongings to move to their new home. Kyo, wanting to avoid the tedious task of moving, sought out missions at the guild, leaving the house to Genzo, who found himself face to face with a colossal ant seemingly appearing from nowhere right in the middle of their cleanup and repairs. Amidst the chaos, a neighbor came by to greet them, a beastkin woman who instantly caught Kenzo's fascinated gaze. Just as he was bidding farewell, he heard a strange bark nearby. Investigating, he discovered a dragonkin girl lying close to his house. He brought her inside to rest. When she awoke, she expressed her gratitude and introduced herself as Linda, a seemingly ordinary dragonkin. Genzo's suspicions were minimal, and he offered her a plate of fish. Linda, mistaking it for dog meat, was about to take a big bite, but Genzo quickly stopped her. She barely got a word out before devouring the entire dish. Seeing how many animals he kept, Linda joked about wanting to eat them all, but Genzo revealed his true intention to open a pet shop and nurture these creatures. Linda wished to buy one of Genzo's pups to raise, but before she could finish her sentence, Genzo snatched the pup back. He handed Linda a book, asking her to show him the page about dragons. She searched, but hesitated to point it out. Before long, Linda caught a dragon scent and confronted Genzo, learning about recent events. She took him to the guild, hoping to find missions. The guildmaster mentioned a mysterious figure attacking travelers at night. Though Genzo was indifferent and tried to leave, the guild insisted this involved a demon beast. Intrigued, Genzo stayed to hear more. A young man who had been attacked described the creature's marks and form. It was definitely a dragon. Excited, Genzo and Shigeru set out to find the victim. Harzan, armed with a new sword, wanted to join Genzo in slaying the dragon, but during a heated moment, Genzo accidentally broke Harzan's sword. Seizing the opportunity, Harzan grabbed another blade. The guildmaster trusted Genzo to handle the situation, but accidentally revealed the victim's name. Before the name was fully spoken, Harzan flew directly into Genzo's face, sending a pungent scent his way, one that matched the dragon smell Genzo had detected earlier. Realizing the danger, Genzo donned his old wrestler outfit and prepared to lay a trap. Linda, in a comical twist, fell for the trap with such ease it was almost unbelievable. Masked Genzo went unnoticed by Linda, who playfully accused him of plotting something mischievous. Genzo laughed it off, assuring her he was just a guy who loves animals, nothing more. Both sensed a growing tension as Linda pushed Genzo out of sight, convinced that behind the mask no one could fool anyone. The trio quietly made their way back to Genzo's home before he finally revealed his face. Linda was about to disclose her true identity, but Shigeru stopped her. Still, she eventually confessed everything. She belonged to one of the 4 demon lord-worshipping clans. No sooner had she spoken than Camilla arrived, unaware that Genzo had removed his mask. Genzo slipped into Camilla's house, unnoticed, overhearing her plotting to silence Kenzo to keep her clan's secrets safe. Before Linda could finish, Genzo splashed holy water in Camilla's face, sending her into a frantic thrash. CG's cruelty escalated, forcing garlic into Camilla's mouth. Linda pleaded for mercy for her servant, and though she longed to know why Camilla fled home, Camilla only revealed her disgust with palace life. Above all, she claimed fate had brought her here and she wished to live and work in this new place. But the fate she spoke of wasn't Gendo, it was a little dog, not jealousy. Linda admitted they still owed her money, but all she wanted was shelter and food, and so she was accepted. Camilla reluctantly agreed to inform her master. CG, curious about the attack, confessed she orchestrated it, thinking she was untouchable until Gendo abruptly knocked her out cold with a brutal move. Remember this Princess Athena still desperately hunting Kenzo, partly for revenge after he humiliated her, earning the palace nickname Princess Butt. Meanwhile, CG wrestled with finances, Linda ate non-stop, Camilla napped all day, and the homemade dried goods barely sold. To make matters worse, Benzo spoiled the pets with expensive treats. Seeking advice, Linda turned to a close friend who urged her to prove she was the true boss and manager of the house. Returning home, she found Gendo bringing home another cat and even flirting with the neighbor. Inside, the camera caught Linda rejecting the idea of paying artists to paint her portrait. Linda also dismissed Gendo's insistence on buying cat supplies. Just then, a banker arrived to collect a deposit for a loan Gendo had arranged to open a shop. Without the money, the loan was in jeopardy. Gendo urged everyone to work immediately. Camilla wanted to refuse, but was swiftly beaten into submission. Tasks were divided. Gendo took on physical labor. Linda entered an eating contest where eating meant earning money. Single worked seriously, while Camilla somehow ended up chased by a mob. After a hard day, things worsened. Gendo played with animals instead of working. Linda's eating only deepened their losses, so they forced her to pay for the contest. By day's end, Single was furious. The more they worked, the more they lost. Most of the blame fell on Linda. Jen Doe was kicked out midway, Camilla mistaken for a prostitute and expelled too. And, game show, she brought home an upside-down hanging bird driving Single mad enough to threaten plucking its feathers for dinner. Later, Linda went to the guild to share their dire situation with the guildmaster, who assigned her a mission with enough reward to cover expenses. The task: eliminate the cursed sorcerer Kenzo, who had already been summoned to receive his orders. Thus begins a journey where survival demands sacrifice, where every bite, every fight, every unexpected twist is a step closer to claiming their fate. If you've ever felt swallowed by chaos, remember Linda's resolve, a small light in a tangled web of shadows. And if you find yourself at a crossroads, ask in a world of masks and secrets, would you choose vengeance or forgiveness? Thanks for walking this path with me. At first glance, the mission sparked a flicker of excitement in him, ready to capture and train the beast. Hard was eager to save it for a special task with Genro, but instead the plan backfired spectacularly. Seizing the moment, he snatched the sword Camilla had secretly taken. Camilla didn't want to follow Genro, but Linda insisted, so she had no choice but to tag along. The group approached the domain of the beast Tamer, Uyendu, who opened his ancient tome to reveal a chilling truth: the beast Tamer would give birth twice, but only the useful offspring would be cared for. The useless one would be abandoned. When they arrived, they witnessed the two offspring of the beast tamer fighting fiercely. Seeing the smaller one falter, Genro dashed forward, snatched the smaller creature, and fled. The two larger beasts instantly erupted in rage, chasing after him. Camilla pleaded for him to return it, but Genro stood firm in refusal. Camilla stayed behind to hold them off, but was swiftly overpowered and dragged away. Meanwhile, the others blocked the beast's path. Genro and Linda wanted to stay and fight, but Jeiji insisted on retreating. Hearing a promise of meat for dinner, Linda's eyes lit up and she hurried off. Genro charged forward, blocking the beast tamer's attack, then seized a moment of weakness to grab the beast's neck. Panicked, it slammed him against a boulder. Seeing this, Linda could no longer hold back and bit the beast in desperation. With fierce determination, she managed to bring back two battered corpses. First, they buried Camilla to help her recover quickly, while Genro was left lying there slowly regaining consciousness. Since they hadn't defeated the beast Tamer, no reward came their way. The other offspring grew rapidly, promising a hefty feeding cost. Yet Sign managed to patch together funds by selling two swords Camilla had stolen from the nest. Meanwhile, on Earth, whispers spread of Genro's sudden disappearance, especially troubling his lifelong rival, a young man who had dedicated his youth solely to defeating Genro. Frustrated by Genro's absence, he refused to fight any other opponent. At that moment, Kenzo sat admiring his new owl, Familia, when Siko arrived summoning him for a mission. Though reluctant to abandon the animals at home, Kenzo was dragged along, leaving the dog to guard the house. Just as they stepped outside, the Misa siblings appeared intent on capturing the dog to exact revenge on Genro. They planned to lure the dog with meat, then seize it. Genro and the three girls were deep in the forest. Sensing trouble, Genro wanted to leave, but Singer accused him of lying, reminding him this mission involved plants hardly thrilling. Meanwhile, Edgar had just returned to find the Misa siblings collapsed at home. Upon hearing what happened, it was clear that while trying to catch the dog, the young wolfman was softened by the dog's charm, delaying his attack, only for the household sword spirit to deliver a harsh lesson. Returning to Genro's group, they heard the plant's cries and rushed to find Genro, who was disappointed by the ugly creatures. He admitted his pursuit was passion-driven, not for money. Camilla retorted sharply, sparking a quarrel. Silver intervened, puzzled why no plant sounds were heard, only to discover Linda had eaten them all. Back home, Kenzo was informed that the Misa siblings had concocted a plan, drawing a furious Genro to storm their house. He threw the wolfman out and flung him around like a rag doll, landing him near a straw cart. Genro recalled the thrill of wrestling, realizing it had been a while since he'd felt alive for some gameisho. Meanwhile, the lifelong rival accompanied Genjo to a psychologist seeking relief from his haunting obsession. The doctor advised finding a new passion, but the shadow of obsession lingered. At the same moment, one of the four remaining clans summoned a warrior, to challenge the newly summoned hero, none other than this rival, who introduced himself as Mao. Roana, the summoned warrior, revealed her desire to have Mao defeat the hero and handed him Mao's image. Recognizing Genjo's long-time hiding spot, Mao vowed to end him once and for all. Roana and her attendant saw this as fate calling forth someone with a just cause to slay the hero. Like Mao, Roana's burning desire was to crush her own nemesis Linda. From childhood, Roana excelled at swordsmanship, but lost every friendly duel against Linda. She longed for a rematch, but Linda would only fight after eating. No matter how many times they clashed, Roana always fell short. So she spies on Linda, searching for the secret behind her strength, only to find Linda's only real skill is eating. Years later, at a party, they meet again. Linda barely remembers Roana and insults Camilla, calling her a low-tier vampire while Roana's own attendant is a high-tier vampire. Roana claims she'll use her connections to secure Linda a better attendant, but secretly wants to plant a spy to uncover Linda's weaknesses. Linda refuses outright, acknowledging Camilla's flaws, but refusing to part with her. Roana challenges Linda if her attendant wins. Linda must dismiss Camilla. If Camilla wins, Roana will admit Camilla's superiority. Linda agrees, partly eager for dinner and partly to protect her subordinate. The duel is set in a rocky mountain area. Roana reiterates the terms before the fight begins. Linda consents and lets the attendants battle. Johanna's attendant Rose exudes confidence, and with good reason, as she dominates until Camilla collapses. Yet Camilla refuses to surrender, crying and clinging on despite the pain. Seeing this stubbornness, Linda calls off the fight, acknowledging Camilla's loss but insisting on keeping her, because this breaks their agreement and Nam demands compensation. Linda bows, pleading for Camilla's dignity. Camilla leaves, feeling triumphant, believing she outwitted Linda, and boards her carriage. Midway, Linda stops the carriage, declaring her clan's fierce pride. They would be furious if a family member were humiliated. She's come to restore justice for Camilla, transforming into her full dragon form and challenging Johanna. What followed was surely brutal, leaving Johanna nursing a lasting grudge. Meanwhile, Roana learned that Linda had left home as soon as the hero was summoned, and suspects Linda is more cunning than she appears. Despite her gluttonous facade, Roana believes Linda hasn't yet found a true hero, planning to eliminate the hero before Linda can. For a long time, Kenzo had been hiding here, and with a chance at hand, he believed he could finally defeat Enjo once and for all. Ronaldo and his loyal companions thought it was fate that allowed them to summon a being with just cause to take down the hero Joanna. Much like Mao, Ronaldo harboured a deep desire to vanquish his enemy Linda. Since childhood, Ronaldo had excelled in swordsmanship, yet during their friendly bouts, he often found himself bested. After being overwhelmed by Linda's strength, she yearned for a rematch, but Linda insisted on finishing her meal first. Despite her efforts to challenge Linda again and again, Ronaldo faced defeat each time. Thus, she began to observe Linda, hoping to uncover the secret behind her strength. She soon realised that beyond her appetite, Linda was oblivious to much else. Years later, at a party, they crossed paths once more, but Linda seemed to have forgotten all about Ronaldo. Instead, she insulted Camilla, labelling her a lowly dragon, and belittling her vampire servant, claiming she could easily replace her with someone superior. Beneath the surface, Camilla sought to infiltrate Linda's ranks to discover her weaknesses. However, Linda outright refused, acknowledging Camilla's shortcomings, but still valuing her loyalty. Zona took the opportunity to challenge Linda. If her servant triumphed, Linda would have to dismiss Camilla. If Camilla won, Linda would admit her servant was better. Linda accepted, partly out of urgency, to grab a bite to eat, and mostly to protect her subordinate. They moved to a rocky area for the duel, with Ronaldo reiterating the terms before they began. Linda was ready to let them fight. She dared to speak the forbidden name, and before she knew it, Genro locked her away. Once freed, the camera captured Celeste's solemn counsel. When you're trapped, focus on survival, because struggling only sharpens the pain. When asked why she came here, she revealed she was new to the town and had heard that Henzo was the strongest, so she wanted him to take her as his disciple. She had a reason to become stronger, but Genro remained cold. Despite Celeste desperately begging and willing to pay any price to become a disciple, Enzo still refused because she wasn't a beast man. Suddenly, Denso touched Celeste and sensed something strange, so he called her back to question her. Even though he discovered Celeste was indeed a beast man, From the reptilian tribe, her beast trait was only in her abdomen, not her entire body like their ancestors. Eventually, the bearded elder agreed to accept her as a disciple. But Linda and Single warned her to reconsider. Celeste stood firm. Her goal was to gain power to elevate her people to stand equal with humans. So they set a date to train on the mountain the next day. Since Celeste's beast traits were limited to her torso and back, Genro wanted her to focus on exercises targeting those areas. Single urged her to train her limbs with running, while Linda insisted she eat well to grow stronger. Camilla encouraged, using her beauty to charm others. After a day of training, Celeste could perform a thunderous wrestling move like Henzo's. Over time, she transformed into a wrestler resembling Genro, but she thought it was a joke. She never wanted to become a strange wrestler. CG asked Celeste why she wanted strength. She shared her reasons, though details were unclear. Suddenly, Genro's anger ignited. He stormed into the guild, demanding the guild leader bring out the troublemakers, or he would handle them all himself. They tried to calm him, but he couldn't be pacified and punched each one. The guild leader finally appeared, only to be taken down instantly. Once they settled down, Henzo explained that Celeste, his disciple, had been harassed and teased by hunters here, which drove her to train hard to stand her ground. But after training, she saw the matter wasn't so serious, and now just wanted to focus on improving herself to be as skilled and admirable as Henzo. The hunters bowed and apologized to Celeste, admitting their recent failures had made them take out their frustrations on her. Yet Genro refused to forgive and dragged the whole guild outside. He demanded a fight with them. They hesitated, but Genro insisted she fight or he'd punish them all. Celeste sensed Genro cared deeply for her and agreed to follow his lead. One hunter stepped forward to challenge her. Thanks to her training, Celeste fought evenly with this seasoned hunter. Just as she gained the upper hand, Camilla urged her to use her charm, but this backfired. Celeste was knocked away and dropped her weapon. Quickly recovering, she grabbed it, flipped the situation, and just as the hunter raised his sword, Genro reminded her of her lessons. She swiftly circled around and pinned him down exactly as taught. The fight ended peacefully, but Henzo wasn't ready to let go. The guild revealed the source of their troubles while hunting a mysterious figure dressed like a forest dweller, masked and cloaked, had been attacking them and stealing their prey. The girls suspected who it might be, making Genro uneasy, so he let it slide for now. Returning home, the three girls wanted to confront Genro to see if he was involved, but he dodged the question. Suddenly, someone from the bank approached him. Unaware, Genro was about to host a tournament, as both entertainment and a business venture. The girls saw this as a great opportunity, but Genro remained indifferent. He denied making a deal to pay if he caused trouble, but the thrill of wrestling for money from his past reignited within Genjo, stirring a flicker of excitement. So, he joined in. A few days later, the arena was set up, yet Genjo felt something was missing, a lack of beasts. His manager agreed to let more beastmen participate. Linso unexpectedly ran into his neighbour, so he visited her home and challenged her to a match. After their bout, he invited her husband to join the tournament. The husband, once a fierce warrior, sought to relive his old glory. Then they went to find the Misa siblings. The wolf, terrified of Genro's wild nature, shrank away and hid under a blanket at the sight of him. Since Nin Misa wanted to recruit fighters, she stepped in for her brother. While wandering, Genro bumped into a group of goblins planting trees. Finding their efforts helpful, he invited them to join too. Returning home, he dragged along the camera because leaving her alone was useless. With that, there were enough participants for the competition. As fighters arrived at the arena, Haz rushed in, wielding a weapon only to be knocked out again by Genro. Singer casually dismantled Haz's spear. Then, Genro explained the rules, but a suspicious figure appeared nearby. Meanwhile, Princess Athena was still searching for the hero, but was accidentally delivered by the soldiers to the fighters' tournament. The warriors trained together, each eager to prove themselves. Yet Genro still felt unsatisfied and clarified the rules, so everyone could fight with honor. Genjo noticed Singer had opened a stall selling souvenirs and shirts, but seemed exhausted from teaching, explaining rules, and scripting commentary. The tournament began. Skipping the early matches, we arrive at the bout between the neighbor and Celes. Thanks to her training, Celes quickly pinned the neighbor down and won. Genro, however, remained restless, believing the event would only be thrilling, with worthy rivals facing off. The next fight was Genro against Camera to face off with Haz and Misa. Since Camera had no one else, only Genos was left to challenge. The two clashed fiercely, but during the match, Camera deliberately kicked Genro in the face, causing him to fight Camera instead of their opponents. Seizing the moment, the opposing side counterattacked. Genzo and Camera teamed up, each taking on one opponent, defeating both Haz and Misa. Suddenly, the wolf youth appeared forced onto the stage. The commentator declared the wolf as Genji's rival, having overcome his psychological scars to arrive here. Though the wolf tried to speak, no one listened, and he was made to replace Haz in the ring. But his role was to endure the blows. By the day's end, the tournament was a success, and the group celebrated with a promised party. The manager generously paid Genzo, but CG ended up with a mountain of bills. She went home and scolded them all. After spending all the money, Ledro wrecked someone's stall, Linda ate non-stop, and Camera downed piles of alcohol. A few days later, Camilla's laziness caught up with her when Genro caught her with a net in a match and forced her to walk the dog. On their way back, she burst into tears, teased by others who had witnessed Camera's takedown right outside the door. Just then, the princess returned to meet Genro. He didn't recognize her and was even pushed down by Linda and Camera, who thought he was up to no good. Genro tried to explain, but Singer advised him to surrender and promised to visit daily. Looking back, Genro finally remembered she was the princess who had summoned him, but then she struck him again right in front of everyone. Meanwhile, Johanna was escorting Mao somewhere when 3 beastmen blocked their path. Mao showed off some moves, but after defeating them, he was haunted by a creature resembling Kenzo's dog. Returning to Genro, CG urged him to apologize to Athena, but he felt she deserved what she got. Athena introduced herself and declared Kenzo the true hero. Camilla, however, accused him of being a creepy weirdo, not a hero. The two argued fiercely. Athena wanted Genro to follow her to slay the Demon King. Camilla stood by the Demon King, believing heroes were just bloodthirsty beast hunters. Athena insisted the Demon King was the leader of disgusting demonic beasts. Hearing this, Genro refused to join wanting humans and beastmen to coexist peacefully. Athena claimed he had fallen from grace and tried to kill him, summoning a new ally. But as soldiers entered, Genro charged out and defeated them all. Then he grabbed Athena's hand and rolled her like a pillow. Meanwhile, Ronaldo gathered beastman troops ready to attack. Mao was thrilled to lead such an army. For days, Athena repeatedly asked Genro for help, only to be rejected each time and leave in frustration. The next day, Linda noticed Genro deep in thought and suspected he was in love. Singer asked, but knowing Genro, he expected another foolish comment. Indeed, Genro wanted to learn about the Demon King. Singer told him to ask at the guild, so he dashed there. The guild thought he aimed to kill the Demon King and wanted to support him. Hard also wanted to help with the new sword. But Genro knocked Hard out again, reclaiming the sword for CG, who declared he'd handle the Demon King alone and forbade interference. They believed Genro was strong enough to treat the Demon King like prey, yet returning with no information, Linda and Camilla worried and decided to hide the Demon King's identity from Kenzo. Confident in her plan, Camilla gave Genro traits of various creatures to combine, but Genro saw it as a beautiful mess. Just then, Athena arrived and, seeing Kenzo's messy drawing, tossed it aside, angering him enough to flip her onto the floor. Athena sat up and revealed the Demon King faction had summoned a Demon King from another world. Despite this, Genro was eager soon to conquer 2 creatures. Meanwhile, Mao led an attack on the Goblin camp. Mao, like Kenzo, charged straight into a challenge, demanding to know Genro's whereabouts. The leader disliked Mao's behavior and decided on a final duel. As Li and So, and 3 girls searched, 2 goblins ran in with news. Genro was the prey constantly hailed as a hero, yet when he returned, he had no information about the Demon King. Linda and Camilla grew worried and decided to hide the Demon King's identity from Kenzo. Confident she had a plan, Camilla gave Genro a concoction mixing traits from many creatures. But when he saw his creation, it looked beautiful on paper, just in time for Athena to arrive. Seeing Kenzo's messy painting, she threw it away, sparking his anger as he flipped her onto the floor. Athena then sat up and revealed that the Demon King faction had summoned a Demon King from another world. Hearing this, Genro's eyes gleamed with hunger. Soon he'd have 2 creatures to conquer. Meanwhile, Mao led troops to attack the Goblin camp. Mao, like Kenzo, boldly charged in, challenging them directly and demanding to know where Genro was. The leader disliked Mao's reckless behavior and decided to settle things with a final fight. While Lienzo and 3 girls were searching, 2 goblins arrived with news. Genro rushed over and found the leader injured. They sketched the portrait of the attacker. Genro was shocked to realize this enemy was his sworn nemesis. The next morning, Athena came to report on this new demon king, but Genro remained indifferent. Sure, he knew the name, but it wasn't his problem. Even when Athena warned Mao would attack the town, he ignored her and intended to take his dog for a walk. But at the door, horror struck. His dog had been stolen. Meanwhile, Mao and Juna discovered 2 men and managed to retrieve a notice from the previous tournament, intrigued, because it showed exactly Genro's lethal move. Zoe and Nam was thrilled since the image had a camera, meaning Linda was likely eliminated by the hero. Benzo was desperately searching for his dog. The 3 girls split up to help. CG followed a scent around the house, but it led nowhere. Suddenly, the bank manager passed by and recalled seeing the dog at a noble's home nearby. They went there and found the dog, but the noble had already bought it, so it wouldn't be easy to retrieve. Athena, curious about the price paid, learned it was enormous. She rushed back to the palace to get money and forced Benzo into debt, then pushed him to handle the Demon King's elimination. Meanwhile, Genro tried calling his dog back, but it loved the food bowl more than him. The announcement about the last tournament sparked a surge of excitement because it showed exactly the kind of strike that Gensho could unleash. Zoe and Nam rejoiced since the footage was from the camera, and surely Linda had already been targeted and eliminated by the hero. Meanwhile, Benzo was frantically searching for the little dog. The 3 girls split up to help. CG followed the scent around the house, but it led nowhere. Just then, the bank manager passed by and recalled seeing the dog at a nobleman's residence nearby. They arrived at the noble's home, and indeed found the dog there. However, the noble had already purchased it, meaning it wouldn't be so easy to reclaim. When asked how much he paid, the sum was shockingly enormous. Athena hurried back to the palace to fetch the money, forcing Benzo into debt and pushing the responsibility of slaying the Demon King onto him. Meanwhile, Gendao tried calling the dog back, but the pup loved the food there more than him. He reluctantly agreed to let the noble family keep the dog since it seemed happier there. The noble's daughter felt sympathy for Gendao after seeing him cry so much. She used her tears to plead with her father to return the dog, but he was stubborn and demanded a steep price. The girl cried even harder, softening his heart enough to reduce the fee. Still, they couldn't afford it. Benzo accepted reality and decided to let the dog stay with the girl, knowing his true wish was to help people build bonds with animals. Seeing Benzo's sorrow, the girl offered all her savings to help Gendao redeem the dog. He managed to buy it back and even allowed the girl to visit. When they asked the noble about who sold him the dog, he revealed it was 2 beastmen and someone wearing a mask. Genro immediately recognized who it was and rushed off. The 3 suspects were celebrating their successful deal when Death himself appeared and delivered a brutal beating. Athena arrived with the money, but it was too late. When the group returned, they found 2 beastmen waiting outside the house. Inside, the others were already gathered. Guana accused Linda of betrayal for collaborating with the hero, but the truth was complicated and hard to explain. The 2 sides argued fiercely until Mang demanded silence. He challenged Genro to a duel. Just then, the bank manager appeared, seeing this as a perfect opportunity to host another tournament. CG eagerly agreed, seeing a chance to earn money. Linda also joined, excited to finally eat well. Everyone was participating, so Genro had no reason to refuse. That night, Camera begged Gensho to train her to become a professional wrestler because she wanted to settle a grudge with Rose. The next morning, Camera asked Kenzo when training would start. He was furious since he had promised to train early, but found her still asleep. Despite the tension, they both began training. Meanwhile, the 2 girls and the manager were discussing how to build the stadium, so engrossed they didn't hear Camera's cries outside. Camilla wanted to rest, but Gendo wouldn't allow it. She was too weak. He devised a test to measure Camilla's opponent's strength. Before she could speak, Linda stopped her. Mole and the others eagerly anticipated the upcoming match, confident of their victory. Camilla's training went well, and Gendu let her continue alone as he was summoned elsewhere. Camilla asked for a sip of wine before continuing, but Genro forbade it. He wanted her to be serious if she hoped to win. Inside, Genro hesitated because they didn't have enough fighters for 5 matches, only 4 were ready. So he sought out the Misa siblings, inviting them to join. They were hesitant, but agreed after Sign promised a generous reward. They also invited others to participate. Genro wondered if he should go all in and prepare for the biggest battle, yet knowing the stakes were higher than ever. Just in time, Athena rushes in as they bring in more fighters to switch to team battles. The girls quickly take on some tasks, then head out to promote the event, inviting everyone to come watch. Plans are carefully laid out, and soon a training arena and vendor stalls start popping up. The contestants train hard, and the day of the tournament finally arrives. Everyone is fully prepared, even the fighters have been checked and readied. Before stepping into the ring, the participants are checked and greeted warmly. The manager motivates them with promises of rewards, but everyone fights for passion, or at least that's what Kenzo teaches. Even Genzo fights for money to open his own shop. The stands fill with excited spectators, and the opening match kicks off. Silas enters dressed as a wrestler. Athena, skipping tactics, climbs the ranks, but gets thrown off the mat in a flash. Hazuk quickly takes over the commentary, and immediately swaps in a new fighter for Celes, sealing a swift victory for Genzo. The second match is between the friendly neighbour and Trantin, who also claim a quick win. Then comes the third match. Misa's brothers face off, but are overwhelmed by 2 burly opponents, losing badly once again. Now it's the fourth match, a rematch between the 2 vampire women. This time, Korea refuses to lose as they fight with martial arts, not weapons. Suddenly, the camera zooms all in one direction. Remembering Kenzo's advice that no matter how strong you are, there comes a moment of vulnerability. Camilla gets knocked down. Rose rushes forward to finish her off, but Camilla flips the script, trapping Rose in a chokehold and slamming her to the floor. Thinking victory is hers, Rose stands to celebrate, oblivious to the camera angle and the referee arriving. The lesson: overconfidence can be your downfall. As Rose embraces Camilla tightly, the camera angle shifts, and Rose finds herself defeated instead. The crowd learns a hard truth: never let your guard down even when you think you've won. Despite the loss, Kenzo praises Camilla's fierce spirit. Linda offers no punishment, recognizing she gave it her all. Now, for the final showdown, Genro versus Mao. Everyone eagerly awaits the epic clash between these 2 leaders. Both step into the arena, introduced by the announcer. The bell rings, but neither attacks immediately. They know each other too well to risk a careless move. As tension builds, Genji suddenly lunges but is caught off guard. Genro reluctantly fights back, knowing the crowd is dozing off. Their battle is a fierce mix of punches and witty banter, revealing their journeys here. But it's mostly a war of words until the chairman urges them to stop talking and start fighting for real. Finally, they truly clash, sharing reasons for their struggles as they exchange blows. A surprising moment arrives when Genro is startled by a dog revealing a deep fear. During training, he once visited a zoo to get used to animals, but panicked and accidentally entered the lion's enclosure, punching every lion inside. This fierce beast fears a mere dog Channa, and Rose spot this weakness and cleverly lure the dog away. Seeing the danger, Genro gives chase to reclaim his furry foe. The chase draws Misa's crew running towards them. Ning joins the fray, rushing after Genro. They scramble to retrieve the dog, which had been taken inside a guarded house. Meanwhile, the 2 fighters collide fiercely, flying apart towards opposite sides of the stands. The vendor stalls get wrecked in the chaos, while Linda and Camilla seize the moment to grab all the food and beer. CG panics as the prize money threatens to vanish down the drain. The manager, once solely focused on money, now finds excitement in all this brawling. Amidst the chaos, the 2 fighters return to the ring. One is knocked down, struck by a powerful blow, but quickly rebounds and slams Mao with his signature move, holding him down until the referee calls the end. With Genro's victory, the fighting halts and the crowd erupts in wild cheers. Victory belongs to Kenzo's team. Kenzo boldly declares, if anyone wants a rematch, just show up. He's always ready. The manager hands over the prize money, and Genro dreams of finally fulfilling his ambitions. Channa and Rose celebrate wildly, but Linda reminds them she's staying behind to keep an eye on the heroes and block any Demon King threats. Now comes the payout. CG collects earnings that surpass expectations, but for Sign only a bill remains, thanks to Genro and friends wrecking so much, plus the stolen food and drink. Sign storms back to the guild, finding everyone joyfully feasting. She accepts the new invoice with a sigh, not wanting to spoil the happy mood. The next morning, she sells Genjord's chrysanthemum plant, earning a decent sum. Meanwhile, Mo sets off on a journey to train, determined to return stronger. The rest of the group continue their daily lives, raising beasts, working hard, and earning money as usual. This chapter closes on a note of hope and resilience. Though battles have ended, the spirit of growth and camaraderie burns bright. If you've ever faced challenges that seemed impossible, remember every step forward, no matter how small, shapes the warrior within. And sometimes the wildest fights teach us the greatest lessons about trust, courage, and never giving up. Thanks for joining this wild ride with me, where strength isn't just about power but heart. Until next time, keep your